Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Making Data Actionable, When and How Data Can Trigger Decisions. And this is our last webinar in our series for this year, which is featuring our Partner of the Year award winners. If you haven't heard of this before, I'll give a brief overview. This is awarded annually, and our speakers today have won the Energy Management Award, and this means that they've been leveraging the Energy Star brands and tools. They've implemented energy management practices and programs, including integration of the Energy Star guidelines for energy management. They've had a variety of internal and external communications, communicating about energy efficiency, and they've demonstrated energy savings. And today's webinar is featuring two of our partners that have been innovative in their respective fields. Des Moines Public Schools will discuss how they use a building automation system to manage and analyze data. And Empire State Realty Trust will discuss how they use data and Energy Star Portfolio Manager to drive towards their net zero goals. So regardless of whether you're coming from a school, commercial, buildings, I think you'll pick up on a variety of tips to implement in your own organization. So as we go through the presentation, you can submit your questions during in the chat box and we'll cover those. But before we get started, I would like to introduce today's speakers. So first we'll hear from Tyler Puls. He's the Energy and Environmental Specialist at Des Moines Public Schools. And in his role, he is responsible for day-to-day implementation of the district's environmental health and safety and energy efficiency programs. Serving more than 30,000 students and 5,000 employees, DMPS manages 70 facilities covering more than 6 million square feet of space. Mr. Puls graduated from Wartburg College in 2009 and spent 6 years in the environmental consulting industry prior to joining DMPS. And then we'll also hear from Dana Robbins Schneider. She's the Senior Vice President, Director of Energy, Sustainability, and ESG for Empire State Realty Trust. Dana is responsible for defining, leading, and executing a comprehensive program for all company and property level energy and sustainability initiatives, industry-leading best practices, and ESG and wellness programs, disclosure, and reporting. Dana leads the work behind ESRT's globally recognized net zero work for ESB by 2030 and the portfolio by 2035, focusing on analyzing and implementing actionable measures which drive performance and payback at the whole building, systems, and tenant level, including proactive planning for LL97. Dana graduated Phi Beta Kappa from the University of Virginia in 1999 and serves on the Mayor's Sustainability Advisory Board, Real Estate Roundtable Sustainability Policy Advisory Committee, Urban Green Board of Directors, ULI Think Tank Committee, our EBNY Sustainability Committee, and is a lead fellow since 2016. As you can see, our speakers have a variety of experience, and if anybody has submitted questions in your webinar registration form, the speakers have reviewed those, so they are happy to discuss those, and they'll try and touch on some of those questions that were submitted in their presentations. And now I'll turn it over to Tyler to begin the presentation.
Hello, everyone. I'm Tyler Puls with Des Moines Public Schools. We're located in Des Moines, Iowa, in the middle of the country here. I'd like to thank Energy Star for having us on today, and excited to let you guys know about our building automation system and how we use it throughout our portfolio of buildings. A little background on DMPS. We've got 6 million square feet under roof, 69 facilities listed here. We have a older building stock. Their buildings are all over 70 years old on average, and 40 buildings are geothermal. So that's been the big push that's really gained us cut down on our energy usage, is that transfer to geothermal. We've got 31,000 plus students, and we're sitting at over 4,800 staff members. We started our big large-scale renovations in 1999, and that's when we transitioned to geothermal and such. And the cost is over $495 million so far. And the way that we do this is we've got a 5-year plan that for ongoing improvements. This is done to replace aged equipment and replace it with new technology. What we found are these capital improvements really initiate and modify our operations. Our partnership with Energy Star has been going on for quite a while. In 2012 and 13, we were named Partner of the Year for Energy Management. 14 through 16, we got the Climate Communicator Award, and we've been Sustained Excellence since 2014. Currently, 80% of our eligible buildings are certified by Energy Star. Put this graph together. It shows our progress from 2008. We've decreased our energy costs and added air conditioning while also adding square footage. Our square footage has increased approximately 4% over this time period. And when we compare our current energy costs to our baseline year, or like compare year over year to our baseline year, we've saved over $25 million through our energy efficiency efforts. One of the main factors that has provided this success is our building automation system. And I'll dig into that now. Some people out there may be asking, what is a building automation system? Well, it's a system that's used to control facilities' mechanical and electrical equipment. More and more items seem to be getting smarter and can be incorporated into this system. The main purpose of automation systems is to make actions more efficient, optimize energy consumption, reduce maintenance costs, and improve comfort and safety. So how does it work? It's made up of a lot of equipment, including sensors, controllers, and actuators. The pictures here on the screen show a thermostat that's typically found, just on the wall of a classroom. And then we have a cabinet that houses a controller that these all the sensors and actuators and such come back to. These items provide the data needed to manage the equipment appropriately, and the user interface is a software that most people interact with to view all the information that the system creates. There's also a lot of programming that an effort that's required to make sure that the many different pieces operate correctly in the right sequence. At the end of the day, we're looking to provide a comfortable environment for our occupants. Building automation systems have come a long way. They used to be controlled with air, pneumatics, and then digital or direct digital controls, DDC, came along. Now dampers and valves are moved with electrical action versus the mechanical action that it used to be. And it allows for control, a lot better, finer control on the equipment, and allows us to monitor things remotely. The older engines didn't hold much data. However, the newer equipment and controllers are able to process and store a lot more data. So we're able to go back and see with trends what equipment's been doing. Throughout our system, with our 69 facilities, we've got over 100,000 active data points. This provides us real-time temperatures, CO2 concentrations, and damper positioning. CO2 is kind of the main driver of our building automation system. Those sensors are extremely important to how our equipment operates. It provides historical data for evaluation and diagnostics. And a huge benefit we have found is having all facilities within one system. There's multiple vendors out there that provide this service, and we've been able to keep everything onto one system, which has been beneficial for us. Another key is consistently naming all of the data points. You can see a snippet here from our automation system where like RA is return air, outdoor air is OA-T for outdoor air temperature, things like that. Just kind of the stuff that it makes it easy to relay that information throughout many different facilities. A complete system has many benefits to our organization. Oops, sorry. So how's that data used? We use this data to manage energy. We schedule occupancy, automate our HVAC adjustments. So a boiler will learn when to come on. If a boiler can't make temperature by the occupied time, so to speak, the automation system knows that it needs to turn on sooner. Predictive maintenance. We use the data from sensors to predict when equipment's likely to fail. It allows us to service these units before it breaks to reduce downtime. And it's the biggest factor is comfort and productivity. So we're able to provide optimal conditions for learning. Yeah, so then here, a complete system has many benefits to our organization. It provides cost savings, reducing energy costs and equipment failures. And here's a snippet from our system showing how equipment is scheduled at Monroe Elementary. So it shows the unoccupied times in blue and the occupied there in yellow. And this allows us to set back our temperatures a few degrees. It allows us to, within the scheduling of the heat pumps, for example, or pumps, it allows us to stagger the start to reduce our peak electric demand, try and reduce our bills that way. There's many different things that the system's able to do. The biggest thing that we use the building automation system for is to access information. We're able to pull up any of our 69 facilities and determine what the temperature is in an area. We're able to see what, if we get a call about an issue, we're able to, it gives us an opportunity to figure out what's going on without actually making a trip. This picture here shows rooms throughout an elementary school, shows us what the temperatures are, shows us that everything's within our range that we desire, and no alarms in that section. Allows us to adjust a calendar. We schedule what days we know we have school, what days we don't. We're able to save energy that way. We're able to do many different things with that calendar. If snow days, for example, we don't need the equipment running as hard as it would be occupied. So we're able to cut back on those days. When we have basketball games, it's season for basketball and wrestling right now, that when we have those extracurricular activities, we're able to set the schedule and make sure that that equipment runs longer in the specific areas. It provides us alarms. That's probably one of the biggest things that we use it for, is that if power goes out of a facility, we know that typically before the building calls. We see the power meter goes down or the building's offline. Well, we know that there's an issue. We get just recently, we've had a cold spell here in the Midwest, and got an alarm that a boiler tripped at 2 a.m. So how do you deal with that situation? We were able to get there and repair that unit before students got there, before staff even really knew that there was a problem. So that's where it's become an invaluable tool for us as an organization on what we have to do. And it's a diagnostic tool for our technicians to troubleshoot. They're able to, they don't have to be on site, so to speak. It's helpful to be able to know what they're walking into, that, hey, the supply fan is supposed to be on, but the status doesn't show that it's actually on. So what they kind of get an idea of what they're walking into and things that they need to repair as they get there. Some additional examples, flow alarms on our fire system. You know, we've had a lot of water comes out of a fire sprinkler system very quickly. And the alarms that they go off to tell us that sprinkler head is broken, or, you know, whatever it might be, but that quick response that we're able to get with the building automation system has been extremely helpful in mitigating a lot of those losses. We've got CO monitoring near all combustion appliances, in all boiler rooms, anything that is burning natural gas, or you know, in our warehouse, for instance, we know that if CO2 builds up, we've got exhaust fans that turn on in order to mitigate that issue. We have radon systems throughout the district, and if a fan goes down, it'll throw an alarm that we need to go out and take a look at that. Same with freezers. If the temperature within a freezer gets high, we know that we need to get a truck headed that way to get the food out of it. Otherwise, we're going to have a problem. We monitor doors through our security system, which gets pulled into our building automation system as well. It's really the possibilities are endless about how we use this system and navigate, you know, controlling our buildings. Some challenges. It's definitely not all easy. Data is only as good as the sensors that provide it. So if CO2 sensors go out of calibration, CO2 sensors become unreliable, temperature sensors become unreliable. So calibrating those and replacing as necessary are definitely keys to maintaining an adequate system. Keeping the facility secure, the data. So like we had a data breach, and I don't like to brag about that, but it happened, and our building automation system being on a separate server saved that. So it's also a way for hackers to enter your system is through your building automation system. Vendors do a pretty good job of preventing that, but at the end of the day, you got to think about, from an operation standpoint, how do you protect your own systems as well. Data overload. There's a lot of data, 100,000 data points, and how do you manage it all, and what do you do with it? What becomes an important alarm? If you get, you know, our system can throw out any number of alarms. It's a temperature, a door got left open when it's 10 degrees outside, the room's going to get cold fast. It's going to throw an alarm. So which one do you pay attention to? And sometimes you get lost trying to pay attention to all of them, and you just realize that you can't do that. And does the new equipment that you have integrate to the system? Many pieces of technology use BACnet as a controller, and that can be connected to building automation systems. BACnet's kind of that language that most equipment's using, where it can talk to one another. But you know, it doesn't always work as well as what you'd plan. Vendor controls on HVAC equipment, if they're not with your system, sometimes it's difficult to talk to it. It's difficult to see the points and to know what's happening. And it is costly. It's not exactly a cheap system, but it's a necessary, at least for us. It's got a high initial cost to set up and maintain, but it's valuable for what it provides. From a district our size, it would be nearly impossible to manage with the amount of people we have and the resources available to us. Where's the future going? Buildings are getting smarter, and smart buildings, they're learning, so to speak. The building automation system, I can only imagine that it's going to get better as time goes on. Additional sensors will be able to predict more about what's necessary of the building and how that facility is going to interact. Seeing what the forecast is going to do is kind of where I foresee it going. And once they're able to kind of to understand what the next couple days is going to do, will change kind of how that eventually. That's, I guess, that my guess, and that's where this AI assisted management comes in. That artificial intelligence seems to be in everything else nowadays. I can only imagine that it'll find its way into building automation as well. In conclusion, our building automation system assists in reducing cost, improving building efficiency, and enhancing occupant comfort. Data-driven decision-making is crucial for optimizing energy use, predicting maintenance, and operational performance. So that's my portion of the presentation, and Sophie is now taking it back, and she'll pass it on.
Hey, Sophie, can you hear me? All right. You just want me to go right into it?
Yeah, of course.
All right, great. Hi, everybody. My name is Dana. Thanks for having me and for taking time to listen to our story. So, excuse me one second. Oh my goodness. So you can skip to the next slide. We're going to talk about our work at Empire State Realty Trust. So we're a New York City focused real estate investment trust. We're a publicly traded company, and we have around 10 million square feet of property. That includes the Empire State Building. Our portfolio has had a leadership role for years, and we work hard to prove a data-based, science-based, ROI-based approach to achieving net zero in our buildings, and then we share everything that we do transparently. So our entire portfolio has been carbon neutral for about 3 years, a little over 3 years now. And our portfolio, although many of our buildings are historically preserved and pre-war, which are my favorite kind of buildings, they have been modernized, amenitized. And so these buildings, even though they may be, from the 1920s or 1930s, they're actually some of the most modern and absolutely the most sustainable and efficient buildings in New York City. Our net zero target for the Empire State Building is 2030. We define net zero as an 80% reduction in operational emissions. We include the entire asset, so all of Scope 1, all of Scope 2, and Scope 3 downstream leased assets, meaning that we include our full tenant usage in our evaluation of our building performance and in our carbon and emissions reduction and energy reductions goals. Our goal is net zero for the whole portfolio by 2035, again targeting that that 80% reduction throughout the whole portfolio. We've done a lot of other things around this, being an Energy Star Partner of the Year, and all our work with the team is obviously amazing for us. We also participate in other related work around the health and wellness of the buildings. Our portfolio was the first commercial portfolio in the Americas to achieve the WELL Health Safety Rating. The portfolio is also Fitwel certified. We have the highest GRESB score of all publicly traded companies in the Americas. And so we do a lot of work to take a comprehensive approach to not only energy performance and net zero emissions reduction, but also to making sure that our buildings are, lead in health and wellness of the occupants. And the next slide, I don't think I can control this, right? So it's really important, again, to differentiate carbon neutral from net zero. And I'm sure a lot of the people on the webinar today might wonder sometimes what the difference is. I would say that the difference is critical because carbon neutrality really is based on offsets, and not that it's not important, but the offsets don't actually reduce usage the same way that that energy and emissions reduction does. So when we say that the whole portfolio is already carbon neutral, that is achieved through a combination of emissions reduction in combination with offsetting all the fossil fuel usage we still have at this time. The reason that I think that carbon offsets and carbon neutrality is a powerful tool is because getting to net zero with a business case is something that takes time, right? There's a right time and a right way to replace equipment at the end of its useful life, to make sure that that work is being done at a time where you can optimize what's existing until it's time to replace it. And in that transition period, which may be 1, 5, or even 10 years for a central plant, for example, you can focus on retrofitting, focus on retrocommissioning, making that equipment the best it can be, but also focus on offsetting that usage while you have it, right? So right now in New York City, for example, you know, our the NISO grid's journey to being net zero emissions itself will take quite some time. Over that time period, we'll offset the emissions of our fossil fuel use on the grid through 100% renewable energy credits. We know which wind farm in Texas they come from. And then we also offset, that's for all of our electric usage. And then all of our steam and natural gas usage, we offset through a biodiverse forestry project. And so we've taken a really comprehensive and very thorough view to make sure that the investments we make a lot of sense. All right, next slide. So a little bit about the Empire State Building, because what we'll focus on today is the net zero journey of the Empire State Building. But please do keep in mind, this is a replicable model that works in any building type, any different systems. It's still the same approach that we take. And so we actually have a plan just like this for every building in our portfolio. It's just that the Empire State Building is the coolest building in the world. So I love working there, and everybody loves to hear about her. And we you know, publish and share all of the work we do transparently and publicly, which is a great way to inspire and help others replicate net zero modernizations in their assets. So the Empire State Building is 2.85 million square feet. This has 102 floors, but we kind of have this awesome little 103rd floor where famous people take their pictures at the top above the observatory. And the building is a combination of office space, primarily office space, ground floor retail, broadcasting, and of course the world famous observatory. We have large global tenants who occupy the building. The building is pretty much fully leased, and we have amazing tenants in the building, and it's just really cool to see the way that everybody designs their floors and the way that they're all fit out and designed in really modern ways. The building systems at this time, heat is mostly provided by steam radiators, and we have district steam. Cooling is with the central plant. We have 7,500 tons of cooling. We primarily use electric centrifugal chillers, but we do have redundant steam chillers. And then we have air handling units, between 2 and 4 air handling units on every floor, almost 500 in the building, that distribute conditioned air and fresh air throughout the building. And then we have VAV distribution on the floors. Next slide. So when we actually began our efforts in the Empire State Building at the end of 2007. And I had the honor to lead that team when I was working at JLL. And we, at that time, had really focused on a deep energy retrofit. So, and we announced that work in 2009, which was to figure out what was the maximum amount of energy usage we could make a business case, a technical and business case, to reduce in the building with a payback, right? And so we were working to, come up with every single idea we could, put those projects into packages that interact with each other, right? We're creating the tools, the methodology to then share with others, right? And so that what you see here is that baseline that we start with in 2007. Between 2010 and 2019, as you can see, we did a ton of work to reduce energy usage in the building, which also reduces emissions. And so what we had focused on at that time was the most that was possible. We implemented projects that reduced energy usage 42% in the building, basically from 2010 through 2020. And that work had a 3.1 year payback, which is amazing. In 2020, we decided to embark on phase 2. We call it 2.0. And phase 2 for us was focused on net zero. So my challenge to the team at that point now becomes, okay, if the Empire State Building is on a grid that does nothing, can we reduce emissions 80%? Can we get Empire State Building to net zero? And then when we overlay the grid as it is meant to be with CLCPA and as we project it will really be, which is a little less and a little later, how far can we go? What's our business case to achieve net zero? Is it technically possible? Is it economically possible? And so what you see here is the breakdown between 2007 and 2019 baseline emissions. So 2007 is the baseline for 1.0 work. 2019 is the baseline for 2.0 or net zero work. And you can also see the energy breakdown outlined as of 2019 on the right side of the slide. Next slide. One of the things that we began with was to understand a static grid versus the CLCPA scenario, which is what you see in blue, which is the decarbonization path for the grid that serves our building. And then in orange is what our team of experts projects the grid will do. And in no way is this throwing any shade at CLCPA. I think it's amazing and very important for all of the ISOs to have their own decarbonization programs to transition to renewables. But we know how difficult it is in real time to make those changes happen, and certainly to make them happen on a timeline. And so in our opinion, we do think that this work will happen over time, but I think it'll be a little later and maybe not quite get to zero over time. But we shall see. I hope we get to the blue line. And anyway, when we do our analyses, we look at them from a perspective of energy, emissions, and cost. And then from a perspective of a static grid, a CLCPA grid, and a projected grid. The value of a static grid is to show for scale, for others to scale this work, right? Even if your grid does not have a plan, it is still possible for you to get to net zero in your building. Next slide. So what you see here is a summary of our results. This is not a cute theoretical slide. These are our real results. So our projected annual emissions with regard to local law 97, and also with regard to what our goals are for reduction. You can actually see the gray line, which is business as usual, static grid, and also the combination of all of the energy measures we've come up with for net zero, categorized into 5 incremental, ever increasing packages, all the way up to this bottom darker blue line, which is our maximum CO2 reduction. And that is the package that would actually get Empire State Building to net zero, even if the grid was not making its own decarbonization work. Next. What you see here is the most important slide, because this shows what we're able to achieve in combination of our implementation, our interventions of net zero projects in the building, combined with the CLCPA grid scenario. In that case, all of the packages, meaning all of the combinations of incremental jobs. So whether we do the light pink, which is our NPV min package, or if we do more and more work added on to that to do all of the ideas we came up with, all of those packages then meet our net zero reduction by 2030, which is our net zero goal for the Empire State Building. They also meet local law 97 compliance and our own actual goal, which is 80% reduction for the building. So this is amazing, right? Our goal was, number one, to prove that there is a technical and economic case for investing in net zero existing buildings. This is possible. It is technically possible with the technologies that exist now, and it's economically possible with a really strong payback. Next. And I do want to do a time check because I want to make sure that we stay within the time period. So I'll be quick on the rest. We analyzed all of the systems in the building. We started out with over 200 blue sky ideas to get to net zero. We deeply studied 60 energy conservation measures. That does not mean that we eliminated 150. It just means that a lot of the ideas were consolidated and focused in order to get real pricing, and get to a recommended stage. And you can see the different categories across which we work. Next. And this is just kind of going into our ECM, our energy conservation or emission conservation measures. This is kind of meant as a slide to illustrate our process itself, right? We develop the ECMs in the context of looking at energy costs, operational costs, maintenance, incentives, CO2 reductions, physical and transitional risk. We look at lease roll, minimum disruption to our tenants, NPV, simple paybacks, but we start with a calibrated energy model and the capital plans for the building and develop our work from there. Next. And this slide is meant to illustrate our pathway to net zero. And it's not really in this order necessarily, right? We kind of say it's like an Ouroboros that just keeps going. So we're always looking at more measures, but we calibrate the calibrated energy model is how we begin, analyze the capital plans, analyze leasing plans, do all the engineering analysis, which is, all the way to CDs that we bid out, get pricing to develop the business case, prove that these jobs are going to work, that it's a strong investment, make sure it's integrated with leasing, engage all of our tenants because we need everybody's buy-in to make this successful. And then we work over the course of lease roll. We work for improvements in the tenant spaces, and we work over the course of base building systems. We pilot tons of technologies. We do a lot of work on commissioning. We do M&V throughout the year. We actually have weekly M&V meetings, but properly every quarter, and a formal report every year on measurement and verification, and we update our decarbonization plan accordingly. Next. This just lays out the actual, those of you who run energy models will know that these phases are actually tied to our energy model. But this is a representation of the different projects that we are implementing now and the timeline over which we plan to implement it. Next. And this is what our Empire State Building is meant to look like in 2030 or on and around 2030. And we'll continue to be really transparent how far we get, how close we come to this goal. I won't consider it at all a failure if we get, part of the way there by 2030 and it takes some more time. The goal is to get there. and to get there in a way that remains, sound, outstanding engineering, prove these technologies continue to perform, and prove that this business case is stronger to invest in net zero and modernization. It's a better investment than making none, right? Which is the status quo for a lot of buildings. And so our goal is actually, the 80% is our goal, but the projection is more than that when we're finished with all the work that's underway. Next. So thank you to Energy Star. We love working with the Energy Star portfolio manager team, and thanks for giving me an opportunity to present today. I mean, this is a list of all the stuff we're doing, but I think just want to make sure we stay on time.
Thank you, Tyler and Dana, for that incredibly insightful presentation. We do have a few questions, but before that, I quickly wanted to note that if you are interested in applying for the Energy Star certification, it is not too late. The 2024 deadline is December 13th, 2024, and we would love for you to apply if you are interested. So let's get started with our Q&A. We had a few questions come in throughout the webinar. Our first one is, how large is a building